Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs. From the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. So we're up here at your camp. Camp Doggystyle.
Yes, sir. Potter County, Pennsylvania.
So, introduce yourself.
Ryan Slagle, live in PA, York. Try to act like I know what I'm doing playing with dogs every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically it.
Tried to do some bobcat hunting today.
We did. We gave it an honest effort.
I tried.
Yeah, it was, I think it was a success. We found a track, for what we're able to do here in PA.
Yeah.
The snow conditions we had were pretty awesome, other than
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the roads were a little too much snow.
And for a bunch of coon dogs and bear dogs, can't really expect too much.
No, not at all. You get them, we get 3 weeks a year to do this, so all we can do is have some fun, and tried to do that. Yeah.
Definitely did that. Whether, unfortunately, no, not very successful on the running a cat part, but oh well.
I think we ran it faster than our dogs, really. But
it was a nice track, though.
It was a real nice track.
There was actually two.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about the other one?
2 cat tracks right together.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was kind of an unforeseen surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
especially that's the only track we saw too. I mean, well, everything else we saw some old, a couple days old stuff, but
yeah, but we covered quite a bit of miles today, I think, for what we could do, and just the way it goes. It's all fun.
Yeah,
it was awesome having you up.
Now you've been running the last couple weekends, haven't you?
Yeah, so our season started January 8th, and I've been January 8th. We had a fair snow, maybe 4 inches, and then Sunday we can't hunt on Sundays, and Sunday it rained and iced over real bad, and the snow was gone for the following weekend. So I didn't hunt that weekend.
Well, how about we talk about your first weekend, the first Saturday
you want
opener?
Do I really got to bring up that train wreck, as we'll call it? Apparently my dog liked the bobcat a little more. I mean, a porcupine a little more than he liked himself a bobcat. And it resulted in 20 staples and some surgery work to get a lot of quills out of him. So that kind of ruined the day.
Well, luckily the local vet took care of you.
Yeah, he's nice to know somebody around to help you out. And it's always cool when a vet just gives you his number and says, "Here, text me if you need anything."
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're out here.
Yeah,
in Porcupine Country.
Porcupine Country, middle of nowhere. We're 2 hours from an actual bigger city where they have an emergency vet. So it was kind of a relief. So shout out to that guy for sure.
Definitely. So how'd you do after that?
So after that, we left the vet. That was kind of half the day. Screwed around a little bit, didn't really do anything. Actually, that morning we found an old track that would have been probably from the day before. Had some snow in it. Tried to run that track. Of course, they didn't want much to do with it. So that was that day. And then, like I said, the next day we got a bunch of rain and melted all of our snow off. And we didn't have any snow the following week because I can't come up till Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So that weekend was kind of shot. Then last weekend, I guess it would have been, which would have been January,
21st, 2nd?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know.
I came up, actually.
Whatever week ago was.
Yeah, actually, I came up on Wednesday that weekend, hunted Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and ran around and did what we could do. Didn't find any tracks, kind of just rounded out the best I could, and it got down to like -10 on Friday and then 18 below Saturday. So I didn't want to be out there, and I don't know that my dogs really wanted to be out there. So I was like,
well, that's not super typical for us. Especially we live in southern PA.
Yes.
So you're driving north and
right. So we're like 3.5 hours north, 180 miles north of where we live, and typically what do we see this time of year?
We're flat ground, lower elevation, then you move up here to the mountains here.
Correct.
Going north plus higher elevation.
Correct. Yeah. So so that was kind of that weekend. So actually, all in all, I guess my season's not really been that bright.
Well, you said we've got a 3.5-week season or something like that, and you've gotten to hunt 5 days of it.
Right, yeah.
So,
So basically, you
can't expect too much from dogs when you
No.
run 5 days out of a year.
no, you can't make a bobcat dog in 5 days. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And you're lucky to cut a one track in what we run today, 200 miles, probably 180 miles of
Yeah.
on the truck, and to cut one track, and that's pretty typical up here, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
in this country where we hunt.
Yeah.
So you can't make a bobcat dog, but we can sure have fun and try it.
I don't think there's too many people that run bobcats exclusively in PA.
No, I think that
I think most guys are, fox coyote hunters or coon hunters that
yeah,
just incidentally, either out hunting and happen to run one, or, like me, and you bringing our dogs out here and
giving it a
giving
try.
it a go.
Yeah, just giving it an honest try. So I would have to say that today there was probably less than 50 of us in this state probably actually targeting bobcats with dogs. I would probably put a bet on that.
Probably not that many.
Yeah, it's so. But it was all in all, it was real fun. So that was kind of bobcat season thus far. So
And you got it goes out midweek.
Yes, I think it's Wednesday. Maybe is it? Yeah,
February 1st or 2nd.
Okay, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there. Yeah, but I won't be able to partake in any more days this season.
Yeah.
So it was fun. All in all, you can give it an honest try. I think probably be cool to maybe take my dogs up to Maine for a couple weeks, maybe next season, and try to get some bobcats to them, or at least give it more of an honest try where there's more of a population and a longer season, and maybe some better conditions and more often as compared to here. We're kind of limited to snow for sure, and you don't always know when we're going to have snow around here.
Yeah. Last 2 years have been real spotty.
Oh, it's been horrible, really. Last year, I came up and tried 2 days, and that was basically all I had for conditions. Actually, and last year it was too much snow. It was like 2 feet up on top of the mountains. It was, if you had a snowmobile, you'd be fine, but us in the truck, you couldn't get around to do anything. And down here in the lower country, it's all hard road and kind of really tough to hunt it, really. And
a lot of the lower ground is private as well.
And it's a lot of private ground, correct. Yeah, I mean, we have thousands of acres of state forest here, but
mostly the tops.
Yeah, and of course, the tops are kind of blown shut for us last year. So that was my first 2 years last year, and this year were the first 2 years I kind of gave it a go at bobcats. But
now, I've been buying a tag for the last few years, wanting to come up here, and it's $6 for a tag, so it's like
it's nothing.
So okay, I buy the tag. If I get up, whatever.
Right. Yeah. But, we spend $6 on dumber stuff a year, right?
Yeah.
Don't we?
And then if I don't use it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's conservation, so
that's kind of where I've been with it myself, and it gets me a good reason to come up here, and I got you up here, which was tremendous.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of people up here, because everybody up here in Potter County and the northern Pennsylvania, they all associate dogs in a box on a truck with coyote dogs. Yep. So every place I go in, do you have coyote dogs there? Is that what you're doing? I'm like, nah, I try to run bobcats, a keyword.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you can hunt bobcats with dogs?
Yeah, we got that today at lunchtime
today at the store, right?
We stopped to grab some sandwiches for lunch, and the guy's like, you can run bobcats with dogs?
He's
like, really?
He was completely baffled by it. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's kind of neat to interact with the people at gas stations or at little places to stop and get food, and they're asking all kinds of questions because they're really interested in it. And
yeah.
Helps promote the dogs, I think, which is a good thing for
definitely.
our state, or any state, really.
Yeah, we're not a super big hound state. I mean, there's a fair amount of houndsmen in Pennsylvania, don't get me wrong, but it's not a common practice like it is throughout the South or out west, where it's more common to see a dog box.
Right.
Especially we both hunt Virginia, West Virginia, and it's you go down there and you see dog boxes everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. I was telling you, took my dad down to Virginia to pick up a dog box, and he was just like floored with all the houndsmen we were seeing just in this little area where we were going to get this box. And I was like, well, Dad, this is kind of the way it is when you get down here.
Yep.
So, but it's cool to see it growing a little bit in our state, I think. And I think a lot with the coyote hunters up here, like here in a few weeks, up in northern PA, we have a lot of big coyote hunting competition, and
the big one is Mosquito Creek.
Mosquito Creek, yeah, and that thing pays like $7,000 or so for the biggest dog. I think
it's something.
It's ungodly, really, for coyote hunting. And
the guy last year, when he donated it,
I believe he did, to the club, which was great for the club, and I think some of that might go to the fire company.
It went to some hospital, fire company, some benefit type.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, that's what I say. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was something of that nature, which is so awesome,
Yeah.
to see hunters giving back to the community, and it's just great. And like I said, the hound hunting is getting bigger in our state. As far as for these coyote competitions or hunts, they get, the hounds are way more effective than just still hunting.
Yep.
And
that's even a guy down our way. Who's a big time caller, and like I was telling you, I think last year he killed over 20 coyotes down in our neck of the woods, which is a fair amount of coyotes.
That's crazy to me.
We don't have them super thick. They're starting to get worse, but they're not real thick. And so for our neck of the woods, that's doing something.
Yeah,
and,
that's.
But he even said, he's like,
awesome.
He goes, hound guys kill the competitions. He's like, callers don't even hold a candle. He goes, as far as these competitions, he's like, as far as just bringing coyotes in to even get weighed.
Yeah. I think it would be awesome to go do that one day.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'm ready to throw my dogs into that. I'd probably be a little bit upset with them at the end of the day if they were running coyotes.
No, I know what you mean. Because I'd get in trouble down home if I happen. The one farm I hunt has a couple coyotes. They come in on me last year, so that's the last thing I need. I'm out here coon hunting. My dogs take off on some coyotes.
And in our country down there, there's roads and housing developments and everything else. Like, that would not be a good thing for...
Wouldn't fly.
No, not at all. So, yeah.
So how did you get into these hound dogs? I mean, you've not been in it that long. It's what, 5, 6 years, something like that?
Yeah, I think about 5 years now. As I told you, I've always been a hunter my whole life. I grew up in a hunting family, and like through great-grandfathers, everybody, like my whole entire family has been coming north to hunt, and that's been a big family tradition, which a lot of it is in our state, and we all hunted, and my great-uncle had some beagles when I was a young boy. I was maybe like 8, 9 years old. I wasn't old enough to hunt yet, because we have to be 12 in Pennsylvania, and he took me rabbit hunting a few times, and I kind of liked it, and it was really enjoyable. And then I always kind of liked the idea of hunting with dogs, and I like dogs, so my now ex-wife adopted a redbone male, and a mutual friend of Ben and I's kind of knew a farmer friend of mine, and he was hunting his property, and invited me along one night, and I was like, well, this is really cool. I got to see a coon in a tree, and this is kind of neat. And I was like, one of the things that kind of gets in your blood real fast.
Yes, it does.
And I was like, well, I think I want to do this coon hunting type stuff. And I bought myself a Garmin and built myself a little box for the back of my truck, and thought, well, now I'm a coon hunter. And I don't know, it was quite a while until I actually treat a coon with my own dog. But I really worked at it, and Wade helped me, and we pecked along at it, and I guess I always liked the idea of killing a mountain lion. I always thought that's like the coolest thing ever, is to kill a mountain lion.
Yeah.
So I booked a hunt out.
Well, and you'd been on a lot of western hunts already, so.
Yes, I've been out west elk hunting and deer hunting a lot and stuff, and I just always thought it would be the coolest thing is to get a mountain lion. So I went to the Harrisburg Sportsman Show, the big show, and
next week.
Yeah, it is next week. And I booked a hunt with Boulder Creek Outfitters and went out there, and the first time I've ever been, to Idaho hunting, and first time I ever hunted with big game hounds, and we just kind of had some terrible luck with weather and things like that. I mean, it was snowing and blowing and just not good.
Yeah.
And the guys there, they gave it their all, but I realized I was addicted. Like, I was like, this is awesome. Like, this big game thing is like, this is where it's
Yeah.
at. Like, coons are cool, and I still do it to this day, and I love it. But this big game thing, like, I'm addicted. I didn't even get to chase nothing, and I'm still addicted.
Yep.
So I ended up buying a pup out there from the houndsman out there, and flew this pup home with me, and I call her Ruby, and she was
Sitting over here on the
actually
couch.
laying there on the couch because she became a house dog due to my marriage situation. And I tried to, get Ruby to hunt with my other dog I called Red, which everybody that has a red bone probably called their dog Red at one time.
There's been quite a few. Red, Dan,
Yeah,
Dan.
and
One of those three names.
Yeah, that's where it
if
was.
If you earned a Redbone, you've had one of those.
Yeah, if you watch where the red fern grows and were addicted to it like I was, you wanted a red dog, and that's where this all ended up. So I come home with this Ruby dog, and she's a puppy, and I'm like, all right, now what do you kind of do? So I trapped some raccoons and started training these dogs on raccoons a little bit, and continuing hunting with my friend Wade, and kind of went from there. And then the following year, I went back out to Boulder Creek again for another lion hunt, and we had much better success. I ended up getting a bobcat, and then ended up getting a lion, and I was like, this is just phenomenal. So that really got my wheels turning to want to do like big game more so than coon hunting.
You've been to Boulder Creek twice?
Yes, I have.
So that's the time that you met Brian.
That is the time I met Brian.
So if you've listened to my podcast on the W Hound podcast before, I interviewed Brian Messersmith, who I knew from when he stayed in PA for a couple months with his in-laws. And then you turned around and you went to Idaho and met Brian.
Yeah, I did.
And hunted with him out there.
And I don't know how we ended up knowing that we each knew him. I think he was like telling me about him living in Pennsylvania. He unfortunately got hurt in the military, and he was living with his wife's family in Pennsylvania here. And I don't know how we ended up getting on the subject and knew that he knew you. And
yeah,
it was just kind of a small world situation. And,
yep.
But yes, so that's, I ended up out there and had a lot of fun with those guys. Some really good houndsmen. I met and learned a lot from them guys. Like Joey is the other houndsman I hunted with, and just very, very good houndsman, and taught me a lot, which was, that as a young houndsman, which I mean, we both are kind of youngish compared to a lot of guys. We're not.
Also, we weren't born
generational hunters, right?
So we're figuring it out on our own, or through the help of others, but not like we grew up in it, like some guys.
Yeah, for sure. And so that was a cool experience. And I came home and I was like, they're telling me out west that you got to do bear hunting. It's way better than cat hunting. It's not cold. It's not, not as miserable. It's way more fun. I was like, oh, I think I want to do me some bear hunting with these dogs. So I got on Facebook and just Facebook and Google searching houndsmen in Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina, thinking that, I'd go on an outfitted hunt with somebody down there, and ended up coming across a guy named Mason Smith in Virginia, and I messaged Mason, and he says, yeah, you're more than welcome to come down and hunt with me. He said, I'm not a guide. I can't charge you, but I would love to have you come down.
That's awesome.
So, it was.
And I've experienced the same thing, Houndsmen, if you show an interest and you show you're a good person and you talk to them a little bit to make sure, a lot of guys are kind of suspicious at first, but you talk to them a little bit and they know you're legit and you're a good guy, they invite you down.
Yeah, treat you like family.
I've been invited all over West Virginia and Virginia, and like I was telling you, I went with multiple different groups of people, which makes it a pain because it's like you want to go hunt with everybody, and it doesn't allow for it. But
work and family situations don't always allow it.
Yeah, but same kind of situation is like get taken in and they let you stay at their house and treat you like family.
Yeah, absolutely, and I've been very fortunate in that way with meeting him and a bunch of his friends down there. I mean, they just invite you in like it's family. You call them and say, hey, I would like to come down, and well, you're welcome. Just
Yep.
where are you at? Why you're not here? And
Yeah.
type of thing. So, but yeah, I went down with him, and fortunately, the first morning I ever hunted bears with dogs, right at daylight, we had one in a tree, and I harvested my first bear under a dog.
Me and you both, we're talking earlier, we both got super lucky our first bear hunt.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
With an easy bear.
Just a pop-up bear, and now looking back, like, that doesn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
I just got spoiled and ruined at the same time. I think the
Mhm.
addiction, it makes the addiction stronger, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, just kind of hunted with Mason there a bit, and I had these 2 dogs of mine, and then unfortunately went through a divorce, and my ex-wife had taken the red dog of mine, and I needed another dog. I had this young pup, and I needed a dog. So I looked around on Facebook and everything else, and I was really, really leery about buying a dog off of Facebook because of hearing the horror stories and everything
Yep.
else. So I ended up messaging a guy who messaged me on there, and messaging him back and forth and back and forth. And he was actually a really good, honest dude, and he sold me a 4-year-old Walker dog that he called Ranger, and I bought him and got him hauled up here. And the first night I went out hunting with Ranger, I realized what a real coon dog is. And not that that's always a good thing, because he made me walk.
What, Red wasn't a real coon dog?
No, Red wasn't a real coon dog. Red was a house dog that I like the idea of him hunting coons, is what that was. So then I realized what a real hound dog is, really, you know? And
Because you went and got one of those competition bred Go Yonder Walker dogs.
I definitely did get me one of those Go Yonder Walker dogs. When the GPS came up treed at 1.1, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of walking. I was like, oh, okay.
A little
So
further than the 300 yards that Red was it?
yeah, the 300 yards Red was going. And that's if he didn't come back to me halfway and get lucky. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I really got to have more and more interest into hounds, I guess, is
Yeah.
this dog showed me what a hound dog is kind of supposed to be.
Yep.
As far as coon hunting, you know.
Mhm.
And he's by no way a bear dog. He was a coon dog. And I thought, man, this is really cool. So I hunted him for a while,
So then
and
you did what every houndsman does, and you went and got a bunch more.
yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I hunted him for a while, and through misfortune, he climbed a tree and fell, and had to have his leg taken off. And I was like, well, now what do I do? Like, now I need more dogs. So I went and bought another dog, and she kind of didn't pan out too well. Kind of got bamboozled a little, and then Mason calls me, shortly after, and he says, hey, I know this guy in West Virginia. He's got 2 good Walker dogs, younger Walker dogs. I hunted with them. They're bear dogs.
Yeah.
He's like, I think you need them. I was like, well, I think I do too then.
Just what you need.
Yeah, right. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm heading to West Virginia tomorrow and get these dogs. Where do you want to go hunting? And yeah, that's basically how I started my little tiny pack I have of 4 dogs.
There you go.
So, and then we've just been plugging away at it since, for the last few years. And
one thing you mentioned while we were riding around the truck is how much you leaned on these dogs as you went through like the difficult time with your divorce and everything. And I thought that really spoke to, like, most people outside of hounds think, we're these savage, cruel people. And it's like, your dogs are like your kids, even though you hunt the hair off of them and they still live outside. But,
all of them but one.
well, yeah.
Except
for Ruby.
If you want to call her our hound dog. Yeah, so you're exactly right. As everybody knows, everybody goes through some traumatic times in life and some things that'll bum you out. And I thought, rather than sit around and feel super sorry for myself and pout, why not get out and follow these dogs around? And I come home every day, and it's a job. You have to feed that dog. You have to water that dog. You have to exercise that dog. You have to hunt that dog. So it was something to get me through a tough time. And it bonded me with my dogs very, like you said, they became family pets basically to me. Like I am probably a little more softer than most houndsmen with my dogs because they got me through a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was pretty awesome to have something there. And like you say, people think that we're like barbaric and just want to get something up a tree and we're bloodthirsty and we're just going to kill it. And it's, you get there's no sport in that aspect and everything else, but people don't realize the bond that a houndsman has with his hounds. I mean, you take that dog from maybe being out of your litter and watching that thing being born until possibly it dies from a bear or it dies of old age, and you train that dog, you watch that dog run a deer over the next 7 ridges, and guess what? You got to go get that dog back, and you sure don't want that dog for a minute, but a couple weeks later, it does something great for you. You're like, man, I'm really awesome. That dog just did something for me.
That kind of happened with this one. He ran a bear the first time he saw one, and then he fell out of the race, which no big deal.
It happens,
It
right?
happens. Well, then he's just running around up on top of the mountain and wouldn't backtrack himself out, wouldn't come to me as I'm calling, and I had to walk up there and get him. Like I said, I was super proud of him that he ran this bear, the first bear he ever sees, and then I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me walk like 800 yards up a mountain.
And look at us. We're not.
Neither one of us are.
We're not mountain types. Yeah.
I'm a flatlander, and it definitely shows. And,
yeah.
And like I said, I mean, it was. I don't want to say, it was like 800,000 yards. It wasn't super far, but it's like up the mountain. And I'm like, I'm standing down here screaming your name, toning you. I'm like, get down here, you idiot.
You know I'm here.
And I'm like, but he was young. He was like 14 months old. He'd never been in the mountains. So I'm like, what do you expect?
He was probably scared to death. Like,
he's like,
where am I at?
Running in circles. He's like, how do I get off this thing?
Yeah, no doubt. But that's like you say, they can piss you off, but they can also make you so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first time I ever rigged a bear with my dogs and actually walked it, like it was the coolest experience of my life. Like I was like, I can't believe I just did that with my dogs.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they were dogs that I got that I didn't raise as pups, and they were finished dogs, but they're my dogs, and I don't know how to say that and sounds stupid, but they're my dogs, and it was a really cool feeling, Yeah,
definitely. Well, and you're about to experience all that, hopefully. You're about to hopefully got a litter on the way.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I'm hoping here in about a month. Maybe I should have my own litter started here and on the ground and start my own breed or own line of dog, I should say, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about it, really. I mean, I'm actually over the moon about it.
Definitely.
And it'll be really interesting. I think it's going to come with a lot of headache, for sure, and maybe some weight loss chasing some dogs around.
Yep.
But I'm excited. It's cool. Like I never got to experience raising a litter of pups or even having a litter of pups, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do think so.
I will say, so I've only raised 2 litters of puppies, hound puppies, and I've only kept out of those 2 litters. I have 1, but raising him from birth and into something that runs its own game, trees its own game, it's cool. I don't know. It's different. It's cool to have a puppy or train a puppy and into becoming a good hound, but to know that it was born at my house, I picked him out of the litter, and here he's turned out to be a pretty decent dog.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like that's what I'm saying. You grow this bond with them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool. And I think you were saying like basically about the hunting, how everybody thinks we're barbaric and things like that about half. When you do that, people don't see that. The people on the outside don't see that we took this dog as a hour-old puppy and and took care of it from there until it's 5 years old and it's on top of its game, and it's a tremendous dog. They don't see that part of it. All they see is the social media post that they want to bash on about a bear in a tree or something, and don't realize that 99% of houndsmen will never shoot that bear out of that tree because it's not what's in the cards for us. We like the dogs. We don't necessarily have to kill the game,
Yep.
So it's definitely cool. It's really neat.
Now, of the guys that I hunt with, I mean, I know some of them have killed a few bear or whatever, but every hunt I've been on where a bear's been killed, it was not the houndsman.
Same for me, actually.
Granted, I run dogs, but I didn't, and I took a young pup along on my bear hunt the first time I went, and yeah, I shot the bear, but my dog didn't have anything to do with that treeing that bear. So like, he was there, he barked when he got there, but he walked there with me.
Right.
So it's not like I have anything of like claim of, oh yeah, my dog. No, my dog wasn't. He barked at a bear once he saw it.
Right. That's the same I had with my Ruby dog. Like, I walked to the tree with us when I killed my bear, and she had nothing to do with it, but it was just an awesome experience. You know how it is. Like, anybody that hunts bears and sees a bear in the tree for the first time or the 1,000th time, it's still just something that just gets you amped up inside, and
Definitely.
it's definitely my drug of choice.
Yep. No. We've talked about it. Pennsylvania, we're not allowed to run bears. That's why we go south. You got to go either south or you got to go north. You know, that's our two options.
We're stuck in the middle.
Yep. Because New York's got a training season. Then the rest, not the rest of, but New England, but you've got New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine that all have seasons. And then you've got Virginia, West Virginia, you know, and on down. So, like I said, you've got to go north or south one way or the other if you want to run bears. And I think that's a common misconception because that's kind of how we I think we even got started
That's
talking.
how we got started talking. I put a Facebook post up about wanting to know how many people out there would have support with going to the game commission about maybe having a training season. You know, I would just be over the moon if we had 1 month in the summer to just train our dogs.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar to New York. New York's got 2 months, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
that's July and August.
If I'm gonna ask for something, I don't want to ask for everything at once. You know, just training season. That's all I would like to have. And I put this post out there, and of course you commented to me or messaged me, and I think that's kind of how it all kicked off. And
so for anybody that's not aware, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it's not up to the Game Commission at this point. In order for us to gain anything as far as bear hunting with hounds, it's a legislative issue. So we have to go through the legislator, get the legislator to approve the use of hounds for bears, and then at that point it would be a Game Commission issue. Because the Game Commission at this point, their hands are tied.
Right.
The only way they are allowed to use hounds is if it's a problem bear.
Correct. The nuisance bear, and there's a list you can get on. I got myself on the list, and I've never had a phone call about it.
Yeah.
I think the Game Commission just traps them out.
I think they trap most of their problem bears.
Yeah. But, you informed me about the legislative issue, which I didn't even know anything about. I thought it was just a Game Commission, like, hey, let's go get a group of us and try to talk to these people. And I guess I was wised up,
so,
to say the least.
You know, I know there's a lot of other podcasts out there that get real political, and I try not to. But if you're Pennsylvania houndsman, we really do need to band together and do a better job of trying to represent ourselves as a collective group.
Yeah, that's everybody. Even
that's across the states, but I'm saying for us particularly, just because it hits home a little bit more for us because we're both Pennsylvania residents that both like to run bears, and it's like,
what do we do?
Yeah,
take a drive.
Yep.
You know, you just learned that 5 hours is what you're going to drive if you're gonna if you want to go see Yogi.
Yep.
So yeah, but I think that even as you and I talked earlier today, it would be cool to get a group together of some sort in our state with all dog hunters, like just every dog. Like, I don't care if you run upland birds or waterfowl or, coon hunter or any kind of dog, squirrel dog, whatever. Just everybody get together and try to join because, numbers speak volume.
Yeah.
But we'll see if it's ever in the cards, but
definitely
it would be neat. I mean, a lot of other states have some cool stuff going on like that. And
oh, yeah. And I mean, we have some smaller organizations, but they're for their select groups. You've got a night hunters, you've got the fox and coyote hunters, you've got some beagle federations, and they kind of work together. I'm not going to say they don't. And I went to the last meeting they had with the Game Commission, which was in 19 before all the COVID crap. So I'm not knocking anything that they're doing. It's just, it would be nice to have one big collective voice.
Yes, it would be tremendous, but
because I think it would definitely have more weight with the legislator if we had a large organization. There's some other states like Michigan, Virginia, Wisconsin that have these big organizations that really do that, and it shows.
They do well with it. They're known in the capital,
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool. I really hope that maybe one day we get that way. But like you said, you don't try to get too political, so we don't have to harp on that all day,
No,
but
definitely not. But
yeah, it would be neat, and I hope if anybody does, just happen to hear us two talk, maybe they'll think about that, and
yeah,
it would be cool. It would be really cool.
going to take people stepping up to put the work in, and I mean that's what it's going to boil down to. And I've talked to some of the older guys that have, like I said, that are running the these Beagle federations and the Fox and Coyotes and the Night Hunters and stuff, and it's just they're getting tired.
Yeah,
they've been doing it for years.
And it's mostly older gentlemen because it's hard to get younger folks that want to get involved in that and see that side of things. And running a club is like you're vice president of your club there. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and to get younger people to have time and devote everything to doing that with families and doing their normal jobs and everything else, it's just tough. It's that way with a lot of clubs. I don't care what kind of club it is.
Yeah.
You don't see younger generation taking in like they used to,
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fault these older people, these older heads of clubs for not wanting to push. They fought their fight, and
Definitely.
it's going to take one day people like yourself and I and the other good people that we have to hopefully step in and say, like, here, we'll help out, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm guilty of it. I don't help out. There's no real clubs real close to me to go help out that I could do, but I definitely.
Yeah, the closest club to for as far as a coon hunters club,
Darlington, I think.
yeah, which it's now in Whiteford.
Whiteford? Oh, well, Whiteford's not too terribly far, but
Because
Yeah,
they
I
sold
thought it
their
was-
clubhouse.
oh, I thought it was still down Darlington, which is an hour 20 drive for me. So it's hard for me to do that and then be at work at 4 in the morning.
Yep.
So I need to look into doing that myself. So I'm kind of being hypocritical, really, when I say that. But
No, but I mean, we've talked about it the last few days. We know kind of where we need to be as far as a state, and it's just hard. As we say that we need to do this, it's hard for two guys to be like, "Yep, let's do it." Like,
yeah, right.
especially when we, like you said, we've got lives, we've got family, you've got jobs, you've got other obligations. So it's going to take a group that's going to all say, "Let's do this," and kind of split it.
Right. I think if you had 20 guys, that would be a heck of a start, wouldn't it? And you just get together and everybody lays out some minutes of what they all would like to see.
Well, we're also a big state.
Right. We're huge. I mean, we have, 750,000 hunters in this state?
Yeah, and to go from one corner, the bottom corner to the top, from one corner to the other corner is like, you're looking at a 6-8 hour drive.
Right, absolutely.
So it's not like, we're not as big as the western states, I understand.
Yeah, don't
but-
say too much. You get them guys.
But on the East
pennies a
Coast, we
bunch.
are a big state.
Correct, we are. And
So trying to get us all together, especially just to get something going.
yeah, it's going to be an uphill deal, but maybe we'll see it. I mean,
I really hope to. I mean, I've got 2 little boys. For anybody that follows me on social media, they see, especially my older one, more than anything, just because he's 5 and he's kind of getting into the dogs and stuff. So
next year he's coming bobcat hunting, right?
I don't know. I would like to get him out bear hunting though.
That would be awesome.
I hope to.
Virginia, you could kill one.
Uh,
6.
I got him a BB gun. He just got a BB gun for his 5th birthday, so we're gonna
Start with that.
And it's still a little big for him. Like he's not a big kid.
Yeah.
So even the BB gun's is big.
Yeah.
So like he's got his arm over the stock because he can't like hold the stock in his shoulder. So I'm like, I'm not gonna try and get you to shoot a real gun until you're got a little more size to you.
A little bit to him. Yeah. Actually, when you're on the subject of small kids and hunting bear, I was pretty fortunate. 2 years ago, I was hunting down in Virginia, and I was with this little boy. His dad took him. His dad's a real good houndsman, and he was 6 years old. And he shot his first bear, and he was like over the moon. And it was like the coolest thing. It's like that is what drives like everything. Like there's the young generation. I mean, that's what's so cool about taking a kid hunting is seeing that smile. I don't care if it's fishing or hunting, like or just in the outdoors in general. We seen yesterday. We came up here to the camp, and I said, "Did you ever see any elk before?" No, I hadn't. I said, "So I guess you haven't seen any in Pennsylvania." And you're like, "No." And like half hour later down the road, I'm like, "Hey, there's 3 elk standing."
Yeah, right next to the road.
And it was cool for you to see your first one, and you sent the picture home to your son, and he was asking about it. And so that's really cool. It's awesome to see the youth get so excited about hunting, and I think that's something else that needs to be not forgotten, and especially with the hounds, because you and I aren't generational houndsmen.
Yeah.
It would be cool to, to help kids and get kids like your kids to get involved in it and keep this sport that we love, just keep it going.
What's like my coon hunters club, for example, there's, I don't know, there's like 8, 9 of like regular members. As far as all the younger guys, most of us are not generational houndsmen. Most of us have gotten into this as adults, but we all have younger kids. So we're all trying to, keep this coon hunters club alive, just because in 10 years, we're going to have a bunch of youth hunters. It'll be before 10 years, but like in 10, 15 years, our kids are all going to be like early 20s, running this club.
And hoping they're running the club for you and keeping the club going, yeah. I just think it's cool. Like, you see the smile on a child's face when you take them hunting or fishing, and, what kid doesn't really like a dog? And when they see a dog and they see a bear for the most likely their first time in their life, and they're looking at this bear or looking at this raccoon or looking at a porcupine. If you're my case, you probably see one of my dogs will probably show them a porcupine, but they're seeing an animal that they probably have never seen, and they're seeing, and they're around dogs, seeing dogs happy and barking and carrying on. Like, it's so cool for the kid. Like, it's just awesome. And you see, people on Facebook, how they're houndsmen, and they have their kids on in a backpack basically. And I took my kid to their first bear tree, and they're like 2 years old or 18 months old or something.
So a guy I know in West Virginia, his oldest daughter, she's killed 2 bears, and she's like 7.
That is so cool.
8,
it's like so cool.
And then he's got a baby that's, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years old now. She was like 2 weeks old.
She's seen a bear.
And they carried her into a bear tree just because, like, where it was, like, his wife had went with him, and they dogs treed pretty close.
That is so cool.
I mean, it was a training season, so it wasn't like it was killed or anything, but just...
But it's cool, just the family. Like, there's some family value to all hunting, isn't there?
Exactly.
I just hope that the youth does take to this and gets away from the video games and the computers and sitting inside and stuff. Like, we can maybe get our next generation, even though I don't have children, like me, to take a kid, or like I'm looking for a kid to take down to Virginia bear hunting for the youth season next year. I'm really looking to find a kid to take down there and get a bear, and I just think that would be probably the highlight of my hunting career, would be taking them and seeing a kid do that. Like, that would be just amazing. I took some young boys coon hunting before, like maybe 3 years ago, 4 years, right when I got into it, and they got a coon, and they just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And that little boy, I took him maybe like 3 nights in a row. He's asking his mom and dad, like, "Hey, can I stay off school?" Or because I'm gonna be out all night. And luckily enough, he's my best friend, and he's like, "Yeah, I guess they have a farm, so they're farmers, so they kind of make him work then around the farm, the next day if he's gonna stay off." But yeah, it was real cool to take a kid and see that, and see little kids' smiles on their faces. Like,
Charlie gets mad at me when I go during the week. A lot of times I gotta wait till he goes to bed to even, like, I'll be like talking to my wife behind his back, be like, "Hey, I'm gonna hunt tonight. Like, is that all right?" She's like, "Yeah." And it's like, we don't say nothing because he gets mad. He goes, "Can I go?" And I'm like, "No, you gotta wake up at 5 tomorrow morning, or 5:30 to go to daycare at 6." Like, because my wife's work schedule and mine, so it's like, you are not gonna. I'm not keeping you out till 11 o'clock, and then trying to get you up at 5:30.
And then hearing the teacher say, "Charlie's just really grumpy today."
Falling asleep during daycare.
Yeah, no doubt. But so I don't really know where we got off on that about
just taking kids hunting.
Yeah, just taking kids hunting. But yeah, it's definitely something I hope people really try to do.
Yeah,
I think it would be real cool. So
no, definitely, and at some point, we'll definitely get him out here bobcat hunting.
Yeah, I would love to get him up here and take him, and maybe we can make a youth weekend. We'll find some kids and have a youth weekend. Right?
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
If anybody hears this and next year wants to have some youth that want to take bobcat hunting, we'll make a weekend of it.
Now that we have bobcat dogs, like we're giving it the college try here.
We'll show them a bobcat track. That's a good start for them. They'll be able to identify a bobcat track between that and a coyote and a deer feeder. Whoops.
I saw a few deer and a deer eating out of a deer feeder in the front yard.
And I'm just busting on Ben a little bit. I had to see the track on his side of the road.
But at the same point, you thought the bobcat track was a deer track.
You did straighten me out on that. I said, "Oh, deer," and we just keep on driving. Whoa! There's something interesting
I'm
here.
like, hang on, let me open my door. You looked out your door, and you're like, "Oh, that's a deer," and you kept on rolling. I'm like, "Whoa, hang on."
Yeah. Well, my dogs don't know what a bobcat is, and I don't either. Apparently, I was deer hunting at the moment. Probably as much as my dogs were thinking about it. So,
Oh, well.
yeah.
I'm just glad we didn't have like
Porcupine
or an elk race.
Oh, an elk race. Could you imagine an elk race?
No.
That would suck. Them poor guys out west. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, my dogs are in the next county. I'm like, oh, man, that would suck.
Because my dog's never seen it or smelled an elk or a porcupine. So that's what my concern was.
Yeah, well, thankfully we made it through 24 hours or whatever of hunting and didn't have to deal with that.
Especially after your first weekend, I was nervous.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't even told you the horror story. That was my worst horror story, I think, next to the dog coming out of the tree. Like, you don't even know what to do. I'm, like, bummed. I go for surgery next week. My legs don't really work, and here's a porcupine coming out of a pipe, and the dogs, one has it bayed, the other one's trying to eat it, the other one is trying to eat it when the other one's not eating it, and it's like, what do? You grab one dog and the other two go to attack it. All you want to do is shoot the porcupine or stomp on it, and you know you're going to be quilled. And
yeah,
it is a train wreck. And yeah,
I had that happen with a skunk one time.
Oh,
I was trying to catch the dog, and he's like fully committed to trying to kill this thing. But at the same point, he's not a good kill dog, and so he would grab it and then jump back and start baying it. And it's just like trying to get this dog off this half-mauled skunk.
Oh, God.
It's already sprayed him in the face. The whole area stinks. Oh, it was a mess. I'm glad that was.
I would think that
was quite a while ago, but
worse than a porcupine, truthfully. Like a porcupine, yeah, it involved a vet trip and holding some dogs down with some pliers. And I'll tell you didn't know a hound's lip would stretch so far as it does until you get a hold of them with a quill in their lip. And, yeah, skunk. Oh, my gosh. Don't know how you weren't gagging and throwing up. And
I was doing my best not to.
oh, my goodness.
My eyes were burning.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Oh,
And this was before, I guess alphas were around, but they were fairly new, so I didn't have an alpha. Well, heck, they might not have been around yet. I don't know. This was 8-10 years ago. This was early in my hunting with dogs, because that dog he was the second dog I had. All I had was alpha or a Garmin 220 with a DC 30 collar. So, like, I don't have no shock collar on this dog.
What do you do besides holler at that point?
I'm hollering at him, trying to get him, trying not to get sprayed.
Yeah, I think if that would happen, like, right off the bat in my hunting career with dogs, I don't know that I'd be hunting dogs anymore, because them things are horrible. I actually told you today about me flipping a Jeep over when I was younger. So this is a very, very, very honest, true story. I left my neighbor's house at my parents', and I was driving back home, and I knew this skunk was laying dead in the road, and there's like a 6-foot bank on the left side of the road, and I don't even know what I was doing, a little Jeep pickup truck, and I just like seen it and like just cut the wheel. I guess you're 16 years old, you don't really realize how fast a car reacts when you just yank the wheel, hit the gutter at the bank, rode up the bank. Next thing I know, the Jeep's on its lid, and I still smell this stupid skunk. And, like, my dad's like, what did you do? He's pissed. And I was like, I swerved to miss that skunk. He's like, no, you didn't. I was like, yeah, I actually did swerve to miss that skunk and rolled this truck. He was not too impressed.
He was probably ready to kill you.
Yeah, he was not very impressed. Granted, it was my own truck, but he was still really not impressed with me. And maybe that's where my hatred for skunks comes from. I'm not real sure. Yeah. Oh, my. Yeah, that was
we've been rambling on for about an hour, and we got some other stuff to get done tonight, so
yeah,
go get some dinner.
Yeah, we gotta get something to eat and whatnot. But I appreciate you for coming up and doing this with me. And
we're gonna try to make it happen at some point.
Yeah, and like I said, if next January there's any youth around that would like to go along up here from local area down southern end of Pennsylvania or wherever, it'd be cool to bring them up.
Definitely.
So,
alrighty.
All right, thank you.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.